Right now, you are aware that you exist. Not just that you're alive, but that you're you. You know that behind your eyes is a mind, a self, a conscious observer experiencing the world. But here's a strange question. Does your dog know that? Does a dolphin, a crow, a chimpanzee? When an animal looks out at the world, is there an inner voice, an awareness, a feeling of I am here? Or are animals simply biological machines reacting to life without ever realizing they're alive? It sounds like a simple question, but it may be one of the deepest mysteries in science. Because if animals know they exist, then consciousness might not belong only to humans. Imagine a dog sleeping on a couch. The dog wakes up, looks around, walks to its food bowl, wags its tail, then goes back to sleep. From the outside, everything seems normal, but what is happening inside its mind? Is the dog simply reacting to instincts, or does it actually experience life the way you do? Scientists call this the problem of consciousness. The difficulty isn't observing behavior. The difficulty is knowing what an animal experiences internally, because we can see what animals do, but we can't see what they feel, and that creates a huge problem. How do you prove another mind exists? In the 1970s, scientists came up with a clever experiment. They placed a colored mark on an animal's body, somewhere it couldn't normally see. Then they showed the animal a mirror. The logic was simple. If the animal recognizes the reflection as itself, it should investigate the mark. Chimpanzees did exactly that. Instead of treating the reflection like another chimp, they touched the mark on their own bodies. It seemed like proof that they understood, that's me. Later, dolphins passed, elephants passed, even magpies appeared to pass. For decades, many scientists believed this was the gold standard for self-awareness. But then another question appeared. What if the mirror test is wrong? Think about a dog. Dogs don't experience the world primarily through sight. They experience it through smell. A mirror contains almost no useful information for a dog. Imagine judging a human's intelligence using only scent. That would seem ridiculous. So why do we expect every animal to understand a mirror? Maybe failing the mirror test doesn't mean an animal lacks self-awareness. Maybe it means we're testing them in a language they don't speak. And if that's true, then we may have underestimated animals for decades. Then came something even stranger. Researchers began studying rhesus monkeys. The monkeys were shown difficult tasks. Sometimes they knew the answer, sometimes they didn't. But here's the surprising part. When they were uncertain, they often chose to skip the test entirely. Think about that. To do this, the monkey must somehow know that it doesn't know. Scientists call this metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. It's something humans do constantly. You know when you're confused, you know when you're unsure, and somehow these monkeys appeared to show the same thing. For many researchers, this was a huge clue. Maybe animals don't just think, maybe they know they're thinking. But then we hit a wall called qualia. Qualia refers to subjective experience, the redness of red, the feeling of pain, the taste of chocolate, the sensation of being alive. Science can measure brain activity, neurons, electrical signals, chemical reactions, but it cannot explain why those processes create experience. Why does seeing the color blue actually feel like something? And if we can't fully explain our own consciousness, how can we confidently explain an animal's? This is where science meets philosophy and where certainty begins to disappear. In 2012, a group of leading neuroscientists gathered at Cambridge. Their conclusion was remarkable. Humans are not uniquely capable of consciousness. The evidence suggested that many non-human animals possess the neurological structures associated with conscious experience. In simple terms, scientists were admitting something extraordinary. Consciousness may not belong exclusively to us. The gap between humans and animals might be far smaller than we imagined. Then came one of the most emotional observations ever recorded. A killer whale lost her newborn calf. The baby died shortly after birth, but the mother refused to let it go. For 17 days, she carried the body through the ocean, more than 1,000 miles. Whenever it sank, she lifted it again. Scientists watched in disbelief. Nobody can know exactly what she felt, but the behavior looked hauntingly familiar. It looked like grief. And grief requires something profound, an awareness that something valuable has been lost. Do animals know they exist? The truth is, nobody knows for certain, but every year the evidence becomes harder to ignore. Chimpanzees recognize themselves. Monkeys seem aware of their own uncertainty. Dolphins pass tests once thought impossible. Whales appear to grieve. And all of it points toward a possibility that is both exciting and uncomfortable. Maybe consciousness isn't a switch that's either on or off. Maybe it's a spectrum. And maybe humans aren't standing outside that spectrum. Maybe we're simply one point on it. Because somewhere right now, a dog is dreaming. A dolphin is solving problems. A crow is planning ahead. And inside those minds, there may be an experience unfolding, a private world, a conscious self, wondering about life in ways we are only beginning to understand. Perhaps the question isn't whether animals know they exist, but whether we've underestimated what existence feels like for them.